Strong side. If you can, and there's going to be some shoulder flexibility issues, there's going to be some shoulder flexibility issues, there's going to be some visualization issues. It's harder to look it into the holster. When people say that appendix is more dangerous than strong side in terms of pointing the gun at yourself from your holster, why do they say that?
Palm pepper spray has recently reformulated for even more effect when you bless the deserving with the hot sauce. Palm is what I use between a harsh word and a gun, and encourage everyone to do likewise.
Because they can't see what their gun is doing and they're reholstering on the strong side. Have you ever watched anybody holster strong side and they pointed the gun at themselves? Yeah. And they're like, well, you know, I just maybe crease my butt cheek. That wouldn't be a big deal. You're going to hit your femoral artery. Well, one, if I actually cooked one off, I'd just be taking out a little bit of my gracilis and maybe something else that matters. That'd be bad. But my femoral is actually over here and it's probably not going to get hit. On the flip side, what you see with strong side is dudes fish and they come in here. Now, I'm not a doctor. Anybody want to suffer that gunshot wound? Have you ever tried to break a pretzel in one place? Can you do it? Pretzel's always breaking at least two. Yeah. Go grab a pretzel and try to break it in one place without breaking it in a second place. Guess
Stick pretzels.
Yeah.
Well, fair, yeah. Real red-blooded American pretzels, not that commie stick pretzel nonsense. I actually don't have any strong feelings on pretzels. Can't do it. Guess what your pelvis is? It's real hard to break it in one place. Yeah, you fire a bullet transverse to your pelvis. I would shoot myself here every day of the week and twice on Sunday. That's going to be a weird photo. Groping myself. I would shoot myself here every day of the week and twice on Sunday rather than transverse shooting through the pelvis. So we're going to do the exact same thing. If you're on a closed front cover garment, you're going to work your way back, reach as far over as you can, given your shoulder flexibility, up and over. And I say up and over because people will do this and like get hung up in their own holster with a cover garment. Up and over. And then, because we don't want to point a gun at ourselves either, I'm bringing my feet together or as close as I can. Like some people literally can't stand like this. Getting my feet as close together as I can, and I'm going to make it cute. I'm going to kick that hip out. All right? Make it cute because when I want to, if I do kick a round out, I want it going into the dirt. Looking, if I can, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm drumstick coming to my my rib cage. Now the difference is what I don't want to do is this, right? Muzzle's got to stay oriented down, but the way you keep from fishing is it's in contact with me, pointed straight down, visualize, work my way in, and again, take 5, 6, 7 full seconds, work my way in, okay, cool. If you're running an open front garment, like if you're wearing a rain jacket or something like that, it's open front, my preferred technique for reholstering, if you can do this, I like it. If you've got something that works, as long as your cover garment's clear, it's all I care about. But would you do me a favor, sir? Take your left hand, you're fine with a cup of coffee. Basically reach back and grab the back of your jacket here, and then bring that up to the center of your chest. Literally go.
Oh. Like that?
That is how I like to clear an open front cover garment to reholster, personally. And what sucks is, like, it's not rainy today, but when people are wearing rain jacket plus sweatshirt plus t-shirt, you got a lot of crap you got to get out of the way. And it's tough to visualize what's going on. When I put everybody up on the line, we're going to rehearse line procedures. I'm strict about what we do. Step up on the line is hot. Like you're released to your task. Line's hot. At that point, if you drop a mag, it stays on the ground. If you drop your gun, it stays on the ground. You don't bend over because like you step out and bend over and it seems, somebody else is being a little sloppy with their muzzle and you start compounding what we call the cascading failure tree. This like seemingly harmless failure combined with this seemingly harmless failure, and you're bent over here while somebody kind of like doo-doo-doo, and you're getting guns pointed at you. So yeah. Also, you don't step backwards off the line, you don't turn around off the line. You can, once you're on the line, you can adjust your feet left and right, you can like find your perfect stance, but like if this is downrange and that is my target, once the line is hot and I'm on the line, we'll be doing 2 firing orders of 10 for most of what we do today. Once I'm here, if you need to do this to address your target or this, you're fine. What you're not going to do is this. You're definitely not going to move forward to the line, but you're also not going to move back to the line. Like if you're done shooting and you want to turn around and ask me a question, like, where you can raise your hand, I want your shoulders and head downrange. Cool. Once everybody's done and I'm looking left and right, like if your instructions are when done, slowly, safely, reluctantly reholster, you'll hear me say it a lot, and I say it because I mean it. You reholster and then, okay, listen up. is everybody in the holster, or I may say hands up, don't shoot. I want to see everybody's hands. If you've got a magazine in your hand, that's fine. You shouldn't have a gun in your hand. And then once I see all the hands, I will call the line cold. That is the moment in which you can bend over and pick up magazines. That is the moment when you can turn around. This moment when you can talk to your buddy and relax. Matter of fact, I would prefer, once I call the line cold, if you took a step forward or took a step back to make the line more of a gaggle, because that is a visual cue to me that the line is cold versus hot. Much in the same way I ask you to remind me that I have a blue gun, because I'm not infallible either. And we're trying to eliminate as many variables as possible. My recommendation is we're going to talk about recoil management briefly, and then we're going to partner up. We're going to start doing there's going to be a bunch of no guns in your hand stuff, and then there's going to be a bunch of dry stuff, and then we're going to start shooting. My general method of teaching I call go slow to go fast. Which is to say that we're going to understand it, really understand it on the front end. We're really going to know what we're doing, and I promise it's going to pay off. We could jump on the line and just start blasting right now. I could have you all shoot an assessment and then shoot an assessment at the end or everything else, but instead I go slow to go fast in the beginning, and there's a purpose behind it. I think you'll like it by the end, but be patient with me. So recoil management. This is a safe space. If anybody bullies you, including yourself, that's why I say if anybody bullies you, I'll kick the crap out of them, including yourself. Don't let me hear you talking trash to yourself when you miss a shot. But if there's a safe space, so when I ask somebody to give me their best definition of like what they think recoil management is, send it. Nobody's going to laugh at you because there's 9 mil. There is no right definition. My definition is not the right definition, but somebody take an attempt to explain to me what recoil management means to them and what they think this class is going to cover.
Mitigate muzzle rise.
Okay. Mitigating muzzle rise. Cool. Cool. Anybody got anything different?
Minimize the time that the sights are off target so you could...
Cool. Cool. I like it.
I think just making it predictable, the movement of the dot and the sight, or
having the dots not come back to right where they were.
Did you really going through my notes?
I've been stalking you the last couple of days.
Anybody got anything else? All right. So one of the fundamental psychological internal mistakes people make with recoil management, in my opinion, is that they think they're trying to achieve, and this matters because I think it leads to a lot of shooter errors they're physical in their manifestation, but their origins are inside the brain and kind of like how you approach it. They want to eliminate recoil, right? They want to make recoil not exist. And even if you manage recoil perfectly to where the slide tracks and everything else, like the recoil still from a physical scientific standpoint exists. You're just managing it. And so if you're trying to eliminate recoil, who here has done the ball and dummy drill in their life? Anybody know what that is? You either mix in dummy rounds in your live mag, or you have your buddy load your mag for you that may have a round or it may not. And because when you dry fire, and you know you're dry firing, and you know there's no rounds, it's super easy to get that great. But then if you play ball and dummy and suddenly you're like, no! Why are you, and people call it flinching, and I guess it is technically, but why are you doing this? So you're trying to actively eliminate recoil through active force. And here's the problem with that. And what happens when you do that? You shoot low, and if you're a right-handed shooter, you shoot left. If you shoot, right. If you're left-handed, you typically shoot low and right. The thing is, you can overpower that 9mm bullet. In the movies, you shoot the guy and he flies back, 20 feet with a shotgun or with a pistol or whatever. But if that were true, the gun would have knocked the other guy back because physics. You can overpower that gun if you try by adding active force to fight the recoil that you're anticipating. Everybody here is stronger than that 9mm. Unless we're shooting a 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, you can overpower that gun. Service caliber handguns. So, I love his verbiage. I am trying to manage the recoil to create a repeatable, predictable, consistent pattern that allows me to eliminate all wasted motion. Because I'm sure you've all at some point in your life been shooting real fast and the gun was just like up to the left, up to the right, like I flinched on that one and the gun's all over the place. You don't know when your sights are going to be back on target. For iron sight people, and this isn't the purpose of this class, I'm not a sight tracker, like, I can follow my front sight as it cycles. My good friend John Johnston, as he says, when my front sight is not on the target, I don't care where it is. I just want to know when it's going to get back on target as quickly as possible, and as soon as it's there, I don't waste any time and I press the trigger and I go bang. Recoil management is all of the things that you said, But it's essentially, I want the recoil to occur. It's gonna happen, but I want it to occur in a repeatable, predictable fashion that allows me to eliminate all wasted motion and all wasted time. I want my sight or my dot back on target as quickly as possible, and it would be really nice if it tracked like in a consistent manner instead of doing this, because then I'm trying to figure out when it's time to press the trigger, because we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on at once, right? The cue that I found that works with people brand new, I teach a lot of private lessons for brand new shooters, is they'll be fighting the recoil actively. What we're going to be focused on today is passive management of the recoil. Doing a bunch of things that you just do, you eventually, hopefully, will do normally and without thinking about them, that passively manages the recoil to eliminate all the variables and make it predictable and the process quick. But part of that psychologically is get your stance right, get your grip right, get your back muscles, your pinkies, everything you're doing, your head position, get all that right, and then having done all that right, let the recoil happen. Let the recoil happen. Don't fight it, don't try to stop it, don't try to eliminate it. It's basically judo. The gun's gonna cycle, let it cycle. And if your feet, your knees, your hips, your grip, your elbows, your shoulders, and everything else are doing the right things, then the recoil is going to happen in a way that's beneficial to you. If you try to eliminate the recoil and fight it, you end up jamming the gun all over the place and your rounds are going everywhere and you're frustrated and this sucks. So let the recoil happen. We're going to passively manage it in a predictable way. When you first start doing all this stuff, and this is part of the reason that we're going to go slow to go fast, I'm going to give you a bunch of things to think about today, and we're going to layer one at a time. Have you ever had a pistol instructor like walks up and watches you and is like, oh man, you need to fix this, fix that, fix this, fix that, fix this, got it, and walks off. And you're like, come on, man. I'm gonna give you one thing and we're gonna work that one thing and we're gonna work that one thing, we're gonna work that one thing, and I'm gonna give you another. The goal, and I'm probably further down this road than some of you. Riley is much farther down this road than me. The goal is that just like, hey, I need a gun in my hand. And it's there, and like everything that's supposed to be tense is tense, everything that's supposed to be loose is loose, and it just happens. But it requires a lot of focus prior to that. Who here yesterday fired a multi-shot string at a target? 3, 4, 5 rounds. Did any of you, like, you're hammering it, and then your last couple of rounds open up and you throw the last couple? Typically, not always, and I wasn't there, that's typically a focus thing. Like I'll come up to somebody and I'm like, hey man, pinkies, crush the gun. And they're like, yeah. And like 4 rounds in, they're like crushing the gun, but this doesn't help, by the way, our attention span and our focus. So even a 6-round string of shots, we're like, yep, gripping the gun. And what do we find ourselves doing when we're shooting at paper where we can see our hits and we're shooting a bill drill? By round 2 or 3 or 4, we should be, soft focus on the target with our dot, or hard focus on the front sight, or soft focus on the front sight if you're a target focused shooter. But we should be focusing on, grip, sights are there, bang, but instead we see that second or third hit, and then we're like, oh, look at those hits, they're beautiful, or look at that round that I threw, and we lose focus, and then all of a sudden our grip, which was, we were crushing the gun, starts to relax because my focus has drifted elsewhere. So in theory, the perfect shooter can do all of this stuff that we're going to be talking about today without thinking about it. But the process to get there requires a whole lot of focus and very deliberate reps and very deliberate practice. Automaticity can be achieved to where, hey, I need a gun in my hand and I'm shooting it perfectly if I'm the perfect human being, the perfect shooter. But today you will need a ton of focus.